What's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode, episode number 27 today for the Austrian Grand Prix in Season 2. If you guys did miss the previous episode of the French Grand Prix, well, why have you? Because that was a bonkers race. I thought Monaco this season was crazy. That was maybe equally as crazy and awesome because of the actual final results. Yeah, it's been long enough. I'll say it now. You know, if you haven't seen it now, it's your own fault. Spoiler alert. We went on to somehow, of all places, at Paul Ricard, after being backwards at turn 1 in P19, we came through to win that race. Absolutely crazy. So the team now has 2 wins to its name. And I don't know, I now don't know where we sit in terms of, are we now actually in a championship fight? And is it like Perez the one who's spearheading it? Because he's the one in the lead in the championship. I'm not. I have a lot of catching up to do. So even with that win, I still have a few points to catch up to him. But, you know, constructors-wise, I think we're kind of in there. Because, you know, Mercedes, they keep faltering. McLaren, they keep faltering. You know, Ricciardo had a DNF. Well, it was a double DNF for McLaren last episode. So, you know, all the other kind of, you know, quote-unquote front runners, apart from Aston Martin, I guess, are tripping over each other. But even Aston Martin had a bit of a poorer one last time out. So you got to, you know, question at what point then, you know, do you stop not believing you're in a championship fight and you believe you are in one? I don't know, because I still kind of, you know, feel like the vibe in our team is a scrappy midfield team trying to punch above its weight, and we've just had 2 bonkers race wins. You know, that happens in real life Formula 1 sometimes. We've seen midfield teams, you know, have their moment in the sun to shine, and then they go back to normal. But, you know, the race has been so wacky as of late that Perez has been scoring, you know, 3 podiums in a row it was earlier. We've now got a win. We're in the top 6. You know, finally we're ahead of the likes of Verstappen and Gasly and Sainz in the championship. For a while we're, you know, trailing them by a good amount. But now we're there with them, you know, we're right there and not kind of, you know, now we're kind of pulling our weight a little bit compared to Perez, which is kind of crazy to think about because usually I'm the one complaining about my teammate not pulling their weight, but Perez has been carrying this team so far. But now finally we've stepped up and performed and given the team 25 points. And you can see in the R&D chart, we're actually there. Like on paper, for whatever reason, McLaren have not upgraded for a few races. Like I said last episode, even though despite us having the reduced R&D career mode settings and the AI have the increased settings, so, you know, the teams around us, they're taking their sweet time at doing upgrades. I don't know if they're waiting for, you know, or to do it all in one go or something at the end of the season. If they are, then we might be in trouble at the end of the season. But for now, we're actually looking legitimately there. You know, aero terms, engine terms, we're right there with Mercedes and Aston Martin, which is good, which is exciting, and I guess it means we maybe need to start believing in ourselves and what we can do as a team. And obviously the phrase is in Formula 1, if you're not going forwards, you're going backwards. We need to continue upgrading the car to keep up pace with McLaren, try and, you know, keep on the heels of Aston and Mercedes now that I'm still mad that I'm saying that, and, you know, keep ahead of Red Bull and Ferrari, because make no mistake, you know, Red Bull and Ferrari could, you know, very quickly catch us back up if we don't upgrade enough. So we continue to make some air upgrades. We've got a major front downforce upgrade and the rear downforce upgrade. So 2 major upgrades that will take 2 races to come in. But if Mercedes don't upgrade with us after the British Grand Prix, we may be the best team on the grid for aero, which is really nuts. I didn't think we were going to get there this quickly, but obviously we were going from strength to strength, and the fact that Perez has been earning so many R&D points in practice himself and obviously doing well, you know, in the team, it just meant that we have so much positivity and everything is going our way basically. And, you know, Perez is the spearhead of that. But now we finally arrived on the scene and, you know, we're pulling our weight, as I said. You know, it kind of felt very awkward. It felt weird. I didn't know how to feel about the fact that I was so many points behind Perez. We're still a few points behind him, to be fair. But it feels good that we've actually finally proved ourselves a little bit in the car, albeit with a bonkers race. I will admit, we got very, very lucky in many different aspects in the French Grand Prix, but you've got to have a bit of luck sometimes to win these things. But to be fair, having said that about the team going from strength to strength, at the moment, having to do a second flyer on the soft compound tyres in Q1 just to get through. We're down in P14, and, you know, very quickly, the feeling of confidence has gone away in the cockpit for me, because now I'm, for what's that, 3/10, 4/10 behind Perez now in the dry in Q1. Ocon with an absolute blistering time there in the Alpine car. I think the Alpine did bring some upgrades, but I didn't expect them to be that great. And Ferrari as well. Leclerc right there in P2. And the rain, well, we just can't get rid of it as it comes back now in Q2. Such a massive difference and contrast here as we're back onto the intermediates and the track is looking rather soaked. And we've fueled up the car for 2 consecutive laps. I'm going to try our best to get through into Q3, but for whatever reason in Q1, I was a bit slow versus Perez, and the car also didn't look that great because Perez was even down in P7. So maybe another Canadian Grand Prix weekend where at a track where I thought we'd be good with, you know, good straight line speed, good drag reduction, for whatever reason, our car's lacking a bit of one-lap pace maybe on Saturday. Maybe it will come back on Sunday, I don't know. But right now we're concentrating on this Inters lap, and it's been a pretty good one to be fair. We're up in P3 behind Verstappen and Vettel. Purple first sector, red second though. We lost some time in this second flyer. And into the last sector, gaining a little bit at the apex, but then losing a little bit more as we go on the exit onto the curb. In the last corner, gaining, but then losing. And in the end, we won't gain any time on the second flyer. And by the end of this session, it's a shock exit for us. I was completely blindsided by this. I thought we had a good lap there. We're in P3. I will admit, I maybe got overconfident with that lap time because I thought, okay, we're P3. You know, we're a good few tenths ahead of Perez right now. And then everyone set a third lap at the end of this session, went out, and then they all just blitzed it. I don't know if the track got a little bit drier, maybe, but we've been knocked out. So from very much like real life Formula 1, you can go from one high to a low. You know, you remember Gasly won the Italian Grand Prix in 2020 and then immediately had a DNF at the next one. We've been knocked out in Q2 and we've been put in our place once again. It's disappointing, but as was the case in France, it happens in the wet sometimes. But yeah, I got a bit overconfident maybe with that first initial run in Q2, and so we've got some ground to make up, but I don't know where the car is. I actually don't think our car's actually looking too quick around here. Maybe Perez will prove me wrong with his Q3 time, and he'll be far up the grid, and if he is, they'll be promising for us to come back through in this race. But let's go to the grid then, and, well, try and turn this around and try and kind of find that energy we had at France.
Welcome to the beautiful Styrian Mountains for another chapter in the story of the Austrian Grand Prix. The Spielberg circuit then is situated 700 metres above sea level, with just 10 corners making up one of the shortest laps of the season. One time around here is a distance of 2.6 miles, with the best overtaking chances into turn 1 or the tight uphill turn 3. It's just about time to go to the track for the beginning of the race, but before we do, Anthony Davidson, what types of strategy do you think we can expect for today's event?
Well, there's a lot that both the driver and the team have to keep in mind when going into a race. The tyres, fuel, energy recovery systems, the list goes on and on. But I think the key to today's victory will come down to the pit stop strategy. Come in too soon and you might find yourself needing more than one stop. Too late and you're putting yourself at a disadvantage by spending longer on worn tyres.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid we have Bottas, Ricciardo, Lando Norris and Perez, Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz and George Russell, Stroll, Fernando Alonso, the owner driver and Ocon, Gasly, Tsunoda, Antonio Giovinazzi and Callum Islet, Latifi, Mazepin, Joe and Mick Schumacher. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
So it seems like normal order kind of resumed in qualifying then this time around in Q3. Sebastian Vettel, the championship leader, remember, on pole position alongside Hamilton. Perez didn't do too badly though, qualified a bit higher than I thought he would considering what the Q1 pace and positions were. So maybe there is a bit of time to find in the car for us, and it is going to start being all dry. And thankfully it's only going to get drier as it's overcast right now, and we'll get to full sunny skies by the end of the race. So thankfully the rain has not stayed for the race. race. I think I really would have been quite annoyed if there was a third race in a row where there was some rain involved. Kind of happy that we can just do a bog standard dry strategy, 2 soft tyres, 2 the mediums, nice and aggressive. You know, we'll see how it goes mid-race. There may be scope to change those compounds around or change the strategy even, because I remember last time the one stop seemed like actually something you could maybe just about manage, you know, so we'll see about that. But for us, we have to make it up to do. It wasn't the best day on Saturday. Let's try and forget about Saturday, remember last race, remember that energy, and take it forward into this Grand Prix as we go to 5 red lights at a very overcast Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring. The lights are out and we're underway from P13 on the grid. It's a slow start for Alonso, Russell, a few guys on mediums and hards here at the beginning of the race. Ocon with the big dive bomb into turn 1 and he spun round, and Hamilton's round as well, and there's a huge car park at turn 1, and Hamilton nearly T-bones the Ferrari as Ocon and Hamilton were sent spinning round, far too aggressive into turn 1. Can't be doing that. The Red Bull Ring, that turn is way too tight for 2 cars, let alone 3 or 4. We've got no damage checking the vehicle condition. Thankfully, we slowed everything down, but again, some chaos on lap 1. But look at this start here for Sergio Perez. Gets both McLarens, who started on medium tyres, I believe. Perez on the softs like myself, so he overtakes 2, and then 3 as Bottas spins his teammate around. The 2 Mercedes made contact at turn 1, so it's Sebastian Vettel who maintains the lead from Bottas, and our teammate Sergio Perez finds himself in a podium position early doors in P3. We're up into P9. We just about managed to keep our nose clean. Kind of got boxed in a bit. We could have maybe gained some more positions if it wasn't for Ocon spinning, because Hamilton was kind of off on the distance, so we could have gained some positions there, but never mind. We're now here on the restart from another early safety car yet again, just like the French Grand Prix, but we get going on lap number 4. Can't quite make a move into turn 1. Not going to do what Ocon or Hamilton did and send one on the inside a bit too late there. And we're going to be patient and wait for the right opportunity. We've got George Russell flying high in the Alpine, but on the hard compounder tyre, and we're going to use him as he backs up into Stroll to just catch Stroll, kind of unawares, boxed in a bit on the left-hand side, and get him up into P8, but we need to dispatch of Russell and Leclerc as well. Leclerc, the Ferrari. I'm surprised the Ferrari's chosen the hard compounder tyre. Kind of cool to see, though, a load of the AI choosing so many different strategies. I think Vettel is on the softs, you've got Bottas on the mediums, Perez on the softs, then some hard tyre runners. It's a nice, different spread, kind of like what we see sometimes in real life with people making some gambles. Russell and Leclerc going for the hard tyre gamble, so they must be trying a 1-stop, so it's even more crucial we get past them, because at this stage, I don't know if we're doing a 1 or 2 stop, but we've got the grip versus the Alpine, the soft v hard, but Russell comes back at us, bit of contact made, Russell pushes us wide, and George Russell gets the elbows out to maintain trap position. The P7 can't quite get that done and finished as easily as I wanted to, instead having to overuse the ERS a bit at the end of the lap now. Dive down the inside, down 2 gears to 5th, and we've got the position up into P7, and we can go chasing after Leclerc in P6, also on the hard compounder tyre, so equally important we clear him, because then there's a bit of clean air to Verstappen, who's at the tail end of a top 5 train, which we could definitely join on the compounder tyre we're on, as we now go down the inside of the Ferrari. Man, he actually jockeys for position. The AI, I've noticed on this year's game, are very strong through that left-hander, versus at least myself. I definitely still need to do some work with myself around this circuit to get a little bit quicker around that corner versus the AI. They seem to just rotate the car so much quicker. But yeah, here is confirmation then of the top 5. Vettel leads Bottas, Perez, Ricciardo, Verstappen. Like I said, a few on the soft compound, a few on the medium. I don't know what that quite means though, because the 1-stop last season seemed to be maybe on if you could stretch the softs enough and then go to medium tyres. And you would have seen my engineer suggest to me that we go on a 1-stop by having overtaken Leclerc and getting that clean air, which I accepted. So he wants me to go to about lap 15 on the softs, then go to medium. So really, there's actually not much difference then in starting on mediums. You just have to go a little longer, and then you're going to end up on softs. So they may be a little bit quicker at the end, but there doesn't actually seem to be that much difference in these strategies. And the hard tyre runners, well, I don't know what they're on about then. It just seems like they're just kind of worried about the tyre wear. But Hamilton then, how far has he fallen? All the way to the back of the grid from turn 1, and it's a bit of a shame to see, to be honest, because he was looking actually quite punchy at the start of the season, but Bottas has returned to being the number 1 Mercedes car. But lap 10, there you saw Perez came in early for an early stop, 5 laps earlier than I was planning on, and Verstappen comes in as well off the medium compound on lap 13, so I'm going longer then 2 medium TYRE, 3 medium TYREs. Myself and Vettel still go on lap 15, but Verstappen, Bottas, Ricciardo all come in on mediums earlier than us. So this is a very baffling tyre situation, very much like the French Grand Prix. Can't quite tell what's happening here. What I can say is Perez has undercut all of them. Perez was behind Bottas. He's now ahead of him, and he's maintained, obviously, and grown the gap he had to Verstappen and Ricciardo as well. And he's looking to try and get past George Russell, who obviously began on the hard tyre, so he's kind of holding everyone up. But the pecking order would be Sebastian Vettel, I would assume, then Perez, Bottas, Ricciardo, and it's a kind of question mark of where do we slot in, because we're 8 seconds behind Vettel. If he's going to come out just ahead of Perez, I may slot in actually ahead of Verstappen, so the overcut may work out for me. Meanwhile, though, we're watching this great battle between Perez and Russell, and Perez has finally got him in Sector 2, and at the same time, at the end of that lap, we're going to come in then for our pit stop. Vettel continues on for another lap, it would seem, so Vettel's going even longer, but I'm still bemused and very confused about how I've managed to go longer on softs than Ricciardo, Bottas, and even Perez. But I mean, Perez's undercut strategy worked out for him, so it's fair play, and I guess we'll see if his overcut's going to work as we come in, and the safety car's out. For the second time in this race now, the full course safety car is out, and it's whilst we're in the pit lane, so that may just help us, because everyone's going to have to slow down to that delta time and not speed under the safety car. So we've jumped Verstappen. I don't know if we would have got him, actually, without the safety car being out there. So we've got ahead of him, and we're in P8 now, behind Russell, who's still yet to pit. But Ricciardo now is just 1 car ahead, and actually by the time we get round, we're P5, because someone else has finally made their pit stop as well. So Vettel leads the way from Bottas, Ricciardo, Russell. Perez is the one that pit then, I've just realised. Perez has pit under the safety car. What on earth is that strategy then for Sergio Perez? I think he's strapped on a set of hard tyres, so he's gone medium, softs, hards. So, a very weird strategy for Sergio Perez. I don't know quite what he's playing at, but we'll see how it works out for us. But at the moment, that means we're into P4 as we get Russell very easily on a worn set of hards. He's been on those hards for 19 laps, so no surprise there. But now we're chasing after Ricciardo. Vettel sets far out the Grand Prix. He's going well and controlling this race, but the safety car comes out for the 3rd time in this race. What is going on? I didn't actually know what the safety car was out for in the second time, but the 3rd time, oh no! Oh, what a shame for Ocon there, who was going quite well actually, I think, running high with Perez, just outside the top 10, but he crashes into one of the Williams cars, that was, in this right-hander, and so that's why the 3rd safety car is out. I don't actually still know why the 2nd one came out still. I looked through all the replay cameras and still couldn't tell why, but Ricciardo now has pit under this 3rd safety car, so we've been elevated to pit. We just keep gaining positions because people are simply pitting under these safety cars, and Bottas is looking a bit weak, and we might be able to try and challenge him. Vettel bolts away, already 1 second clear of Bottas as he goes very slow off the safety car green flag. It's so close. Bottas squeezes us towards the left-hand side grass, but we're going to try and swing back for the better exit there. Didn't quite get the entry we wanted, but we have put on the power a little bit earlier. Can we now go round the outside? Maybe. It's always a tetchy time going round the outside of a Mercedes car at this corner, as we know from real life, but easy does it. Bottas gives us the space. We deploy ERS on the exit to try and punch past him in through to the left-hander. Bottas on the outside tries his best. We get the elbows out. We manage to get the move finally booked in, and we're up into P2 of the Austrian Grand Prix. But I'm still I don't know how this race is going to shape up. Do we need to make a pit stop still in this race? Because Perez has made 2 extra ones compared to us, so I just don't know. I don't know what he's playing at. I don't know what everyone else is playing at. Will Vettel pit again? I'm unsure. It really is all to play for. Nicholas Latifi is out this Grand. Don't tell me. Is this a 4th safety car? Nicholas Latifi's out. He's out this Grand Prix, and that's oh my god, that's a 4th full safety car. What is going on in this race? What is going on? Latifi's out, I think, from a simple mechanical failure, this one is, because no one else has caught up in that incident. So nothing much to really show you there, but a 4th safety car is pretty mad, especially around Austria. It's such a, wide circuit, plenty of runoff as well, gravel traps. Don't usually see that many safety cars around here, and I've never seen this many around Austria. I have, obviously, at Singapore, if you remember, back on F1 2020, but that was a very different situation, very different track. But here we are then, lap 26, 10 laps to go, you know, and both myself and Vettel are 1-2 on mediums, still going on. There is a little bit of tyre wear and tyre concerns, but we're pushing on. It looks like me and Vettel are being stubborn, and we're going to try and get to the end. So somehow, once again, I found myself in a high, lofty position from being quite low back down the order initially at the start of the Grand Prix. Verstappen's climbed up into P3 as well. Fair play. Leclerc's made that one-stop work on hards as the virtual safety car is called out now. And Leclerc is out, no! Oh, I jinxed him. Oh, no, I jinxed the Ferrari, man. I was literally saying how well he'd done on a set of hards to mediums. And so it's not quite a full safety car, but, you know, there's 5 different yellow situations. But 4 full safety cars. And this is why, then, into this right-hander. Oh, Ricciardo! Oh, no, it's a disaster for Ricciardo. 2 DNFs in a row as he's spun around by the Mercedes into the wall. That is such a shame for Rick Bobby. It means his teammate, though, Norris, is elevated to P4. So now, under the virtual safety car, Vettel leads the way. Myself, Perez is in 3rd because we had, I think, Verstappen pit under the virtual safety car, I think it was. Perez, though, does have a penalty for 5 seconds. Looking back at the race director, I think it was, if I remember correctly, Perez hit Lance Stroll under the virtual safety car. And ironically, Lance Stroll is now out of the Grand Prix with a mechanical failure as well. So they're dropping like flies, and once again it's a bloodbath here at a Grand Prix. There's only 16 runners left, so we've had a fair few DNFs here, but we're still sitting here in P2 then. We've got 8 laps to go. Perez 2.4 behind me on hards. And so he might start to catch myself and Vettel, but we are going to be catching Vettel equally as well. So let's see what we can do here. We've got some pace. Vettel's looking a bit vulnerable, and he's not got DRS. We do, of course, ERS as well. Vettel squeezes us to the right-hand side. It's very fine margins between myself and the championship leader, but we're down the inside, got the exit. But remember, now Vettel will be the one with DRS, and we will not on this second activation zone. Vettel comes back at us on the outside. We take to the inside line to defend, and we lock up, and we almost actually slide our car and crash into Vettel. That would have been quite something. It would have been a disaster, but it's been averted. But we've been fighting so much now, and we're also losing time with our tyre wear kicking. And remember, we've been on these tyres for nearly more than half the Grand Prix. Everyone else has made extra pit stops to make sure that doesn't happen. So maybe now this is where mine and Vettel's gamble is a bit too much, because Perez has caught us right up here. He's got the 5-second penalty, though, so even if he overtakes us, there's no guarantee he'll even get that position, but he's going to be there. At least there's a spanner in the works. So we now go for a move on Sebastian Vettel again on the outside. Lando Norris is out in the Grand Prix, so it's another double DNF for McLaren. What is going on? There's only 14 runners in this race. This one has been just as much crazy as France in terms of DNFs and incidents. As we go to the inside of Sebastian Vettel, we get the race lead, and Perez is down the inside. Vettel's made a mistake. Has he had too much tyre wear? I think so. He's dropping off the cliff. And for the second race in a row, at one point in the race, it's a 1-2 for our team. But last time in France, Perez then made a last-ditch random pit stop, or just had to because of his tyres. But this time he's on very durable hard tyres, so surely he's going to the end. But one man who is making a pit stop is Sebastian Vettel. He can't handle the tyre wear, but we've continued on. We've only got 2 laps left. We may as well just continue and see if we can get to the end. Perez overtakes us, but he's got a 5-second penalty. So if I just try and maintain 5 seconds to him and keep my tyres in check, we could still win this Grand Prix. So I can't believe I'm saying that. How we got into this situation again? How is both me and Perez 1-2? I simply don't understand. Bottas is back up into 3rd place. Gasly, though, is in P4. He was outside the top 10. And there's a Williams of Guan Yu Zhou battling Russell for P7. That's how bonkers this race has been. And Hamilton, who is in last place at the start, has climbed back up into 10th. There's been so much great. Look at all the DNFs. Norris, Ricciardo, Leclerc, Stroll, Schumacher, Tsunoda. Big DNF list. And Guan Yu Zhou is putting up a massive fight against Russell. Russell going against his old team here. The Alpine struggling to get past him comfortably in the way I thought he would. Meanwhile, Vettel is already on the charge on fresh softs. He's overtaken Alonso. So how far up the order can Vettel get in 1.5 laps on fresh soft tyres versus everyone on worn hards and mediums? And Bottas is in! What is going on in this race? We're going to the last lap of the Grand Prix. Bottas pits last minute, and so that elevates Pierre Gasly up into 3rd place. Gasly may be on for a podium, but we could still be on for a race win because Perez is 1.9 ahead of us, just about 2 seconds ahead of us, so he needs to pull 3 seconds in 1 lap to get 1st place. We let him through on purpose because he's my teammate. Don't want any funny business. We've got very worn tyres compared to him, so there's no point fighting him too much, but I could still actually steal the win from him if he doesn't do a good enough job on this last lap. But my tyres are very much gone off the cliff. I've already lost a second in a sector alone because Perez on hards, very fresh hards, remember, because he pit under that last safety car, I think it was, so he's not got hardly any tyre wear really, and I'm on 80% on the left rear, and Perez is climbing 3.6 the gap, 3.7 nearly, but he's now entering the last 2 corners. This may not be enough for Sergio Perez. He comes round the final bend on circuit in 1st place, and we've got a puncher into the last 2 corners. Oh no, the car won't slow down. We've nearly come to a stop into the wall. We've somehow kept it out of the wall. We've somehow kept the car going, but we've got a puncher spinning round, and Sergio Perez does indeed actually go on to win the race because we narrowly escape a disaster at the end and somehow skid the car into 3rd place. Gasly gets the 2nd place podium because this is what happened. On this curve, we're fine, but then mid-corner, look at that. That's where the tyre popped. You can see the difference in texture, and now the tyre is delaminating. At this point, as I slam on the brakes for the last corner, I think we did very well to keep it out of the wall. If I do say so myself, I think this could have been so much worse. We could have been going straight on into this wall. DNF, 0 points. The fact we just narrowly made that right-hander and skated our rear end through. Gasly goes through into P2. Fair play. I'm just happy we somehow saved that for P3 because we did take a gamble that Vettel did not take, but we took one and we got a podium for it versus Vettel's P6, so I'm still very happy. But what a bonkers race with 5-6 DNFs, and Sergio Perez, let's not forget that, has just won a 2nd race for our team and for this season.
Here we are then, a real team effort to overcome their rivals for a memorable win here today. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
Here comes your top 3 making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula 1.
I think we may need to reassess where we are in terms of what this season's turning into, because let's now establish we've just won 2 back-to-back races. This one's a double podium. This is mental. What? I'm so baffled about that race, by the way, as well. 2 races in a row where there was just carnage, DNFs left, right and centre, pit stops left, right and I'm still so confused at why certain people made pit stops when they did, but we, along with Vettel, just tried to keep calm and were kind of stubborn in a way, and in the end Vettel actually blinked and made a 2nd pit stop. I just continued on, firmed my decision, firmed my engineer's decision to tell me to do a 1 stop. We tried it, it did kind of fail just about, but we were only 1 corner away from making that work. But like I said, we gambled. Yeah, we didn't get the win, but we actually still beat Vettel, and if we pit, we would have been behind Vettel. So, all in all, worth the gamble, and I can still be pretty damn happy because Perez went on to win the race. Like I said, didn't fight him on purpose, and we were a good team player in that regard, and we made sure the team got the win still in the end, and Gasly got a very lofty P2, but it means we're only now 4 points off Aston Martin in the Constructors' Championship. Perez still quite a large 21 points off Vettel. That's how good and kind of consistent Vettel's been in that Aston Martin so far this season, whereas everyone else has been up and down, up and down. But the Constructors, things are interesting because now I'm pulling my weight and Perez is also scoring well when I'm doing well, unlike France. And this one's been a massive race weekend for us. So, I know, let me know in the comments below, guys. Do you reckon it's somehow, in this bonkers 2nd season, we might actually somehow be in a title fight somehow, just because every other team is tripping over them themselves. It's like almost watching like the Premier League from a few years ago where no one wanted to get third or fourth place and a Champions League spot because everyone's just tripping over themselves and just making mistakes or making howling strategy errors or whatever, or crashing out the Grand Prix in the case of both McLarens. Yeah, mental stuff. If you have enjoyed this one, again, be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you are new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content and roll on our home Grand Prix. What craziness is going to come there? I can't wait. I don't think my heart can handle it though. But till then, hope you enjoy the day. Goodbye.